the new My Lowe's Pro Rewards American Express card, earn 3 points per dollar spent on Lowe's qualifying purchases for the first 6 months after card account opening. Plus, save 5% every day on eligible purchases at Lowe's and earn points on eligible purchases everywhere else Amex is accepted. Card members get more at Lowe's. Subject to credit approval. 5% can't be combined with any other offer. Exclusions and restrictions apply. Points subject to loyalty terms at Lowe's.com/terms and credit reward terms at Synchrony.com/MLPRA-terms. Visit Lowe's.com/business credit.
This is Will Hicks with the OCR Report. Can I ask a kindness? We are looking for new members of the OCR Report. We want OCR to be here for the next 100 years. The OCR Report is helping make that happen with race live streams, podcasts, race result graphics, and the best race photos in the sport. For just $5 a month, you can help us support the sport. That's less than a cup of coffee or a month of Strava. $5. Sign up right now at patreon.com/the OCR Report. That is patreon.com/the OCR Report. You are too kind. On today's episode, the president of World Obstacle, Ian Adamson. Welcome to the OCR Report podcast. The OCR Report is the live stream home for the sport of obstacle course racing. Become a member at patreon.com/the OCR Report and help us ensure OCR is here for the next 100 years. My name is Will Hicks, and this is the OCR Report. Welcome to the OCR Report podcast. My name is Will Hicks. Thank you for listening. Today on the show, Ian Adamson, the president of World Obstacle. There has been a lot of activity and action in the international arena with OCR. We talk about that. We talk about the merger of FISO with World Pentathlon. What does that mean for OCR athletes in the U.S. and worldwide? We talk about the Olympics. Olympics are coming up in 2 years here in Los Angeles, California. I say here in. It's a couple hours up the road. Before we talk with Ian Adamson, the president of World Obstacle, let's read some iTunes reviews.
5 stars.
5 stars.
5 stars.
5 stars.
5 stars.
5 stars.
5 stars. 5 stars.
Someone told me I should update that with new people saying 5 stars. And I was like, how do I go back and tell those kids, like, yeah, sorry, kids. Not cute enough anymore. New audio. Progress. It's a throwback. I like it. No reviews today, but you can leave a review for the show. Open the Purple Podcast app on your iPhone or iOS device. Scroll down to click Write a Review. Click that button. Leave it, and I will read it on a future episode. You can now also leave reviews on Spotify. You can leave a review or a comment, really, for individual episodes. Leave that, and I will read it on a future episode. Spotify. The OCR Report on Spotify. Leave a review. I would appreciate it. A couple new items before we talk with Ian. Big one. World's Toughest Mudder is 1 month away. We will be live streaming the entire 24-hour race. It's actually longer than 24 hours. It's 25 and a half hours. Race starts at noon and ends at 1:30 the next day. You can watch the whole race at youtube.com/the OCR Report. If you are not able to be at the race, go to the OCRreport.com/WTM. In fact, even if you are going to be at the race, you can go there right now. The OCRreport.com/WTM. That is our hub for World's Toughest Mudder. Everything you need there, from race info to athlete tracking to race leaders to brunch sign-up tickets. There's links to the rule book from Tough Mudder. There's links, basically everything you need for World's Toughest Mudder. Go to the OCRreport.com/WTM. Links to the live stream. You can watch the race straight from there, or links to every event or live stream event we have of the week leading up to World's Toughest Mudder. theocrreport.com/WTM. Check it out. We're still looking for some sponsors. If you are interested in sponsoring the live stream coverage of World's Toughest Mudder, shoot me an email, will@theocrreport.com. We will get you in front of thousands and thousands of dedicated OCR athletes. If your company or your brand is about fitness or health or nutrition, it's got to make sense. Like, we're not doing alcohol ads. We're not doing cigarettes. We're not doing... It's got to be a fit. If we're going to work together to bring your brand in front of people, we want it to be something that we support and something that makes sense for the community. So if that sounds like your company, or that sounds like someone you think we should reach out to that shoot me an email, will@theocrreport.com. Today on the show, Ian Adamson. Ian is the president of World Obstacle. He is the Obstacle Commission chair for World Pentathlon, and he also is the multi-sport director of USA Pentathlon. In a couple of years, when you watched obstacle racing as part of the Olympics in 2028, Ian Adamson is one of the people you have most to thank for that. Very excited to talk with Ian Adamson again. Let's go to the phones. Ian Adamson is the president of World Obstacle, the Obstacle Commission chair for World Pentathlon, and the multi-sport director of USA Pentathlon. Ian Adamson, welcome back to the show.
Well, thank you, Will. My pleasure to be here. And thank you for everything you've been doing for the sport for many years now.
Ian, it's been a minute since we talked. It's good to get you back on the phone and catch up with you. I see you're in Spain right now.
I am. Cheers, un cerveza. And this is what we're doing in the evening here, in this hot evening in the Basque Country in northwest Spain, close to the European Championships coming up this weekend.
The European Championships are this weekend in Spain. Tell me about what people can expect from the OCR European Championships.
Always one of the biggest races on the calendar. The Spanish are very competitive. They have complicated technical obstacles. It's going to be a really interesting event. If anyone watched or was paying attention to Portugal last year, it's going to be very much like that. Tons of Spanish in Portugal. Obviously, they're joined at the hip. And it's going to be some really, really interesting racing. I'm thoroughly looking forward to seeing the technicality, very high-level technical obstacles.
And then later on this month, or actually in June, is the Pentathlon World Cup in Budapest. What does that look like? What's the Pentathlon World Cup?
Pentathlon World Cup we call it full pentathlon or modern pentathlon. That's the 5 sports in the multidisciplinary sport of pentathlon that you see in the Olympics. Now it is fencing, swimming, obstacle race, short like the 100 meters like we do, and then a run-shoot combination. So 2 of the disciplines are combined, and then the other 3 are on points. This is a constantly moving thing, by the way. It's modern pentathlon stays modern. They are always changing. This has been the practice.
It's evolved a lot, right? Pentathlon in the last 4 years, 5 years, maybe 10 years. It's a lot different than maybe what, I don't want to say it's not your dad's pentathlon, as I'm not a pentathlon expert, but it does seem like it's evolving.
That's accurate. That's exactly what happens. They have stayed modern over the past 100 years. It was people on horses with service revolvers at one point. And things were long cross-country, complicated cross-country runs, more like an obstacle race, like cliffs and creeks and logs. I mean, it was kind of crazy. Now it's 600-meter loops with shooting series and 100-meter swim now in the pool. Used to be a lot long. Used to be 300 meters. So everything is now it's laser pistols, high tech. The obstacle event is like American Ninja Warrior. There's lights and music and smoke, and it's like that now. So, and it will continue to modernize. It's fantastic for obstacle racing because the goal of the international governing body is to be inclusive. They don't want to mess with the sports. They're just going, look, this is fantastic. We just need to let's bring everything together in a big family and do it better. So you'll see this starting to unfold. It started last year in Beijing with the Obstacle World Championships, separate from the OCR World Championships. This year will be the first year after we dissolve FISO World Obstacle. So now we're working together. We make recommendations for the race directors, the formats, the rules, all of the stuff, because we need to represent our communities in OCR and Ninja Warrior and the other sports that we represent or our national governing bodies do. So the whole machine is being merged into a bigger machine. It's like a corporate merger. Lots of companies coming together, sort of like hotels. You've got International Hotel Group, and there's Marriott, and then there's those hotel chains do not change. They just get brought under a much bigger umbrella, which is really what we're doing. We're bringing lots of sports together, multiple sports together. We're not changing the sports per se. We are changing things about the sports, which is the better things that you get when you become part of an Olympic sport, part of Olympic system, is that you start to get a lot more benefits for being sport itself. With the exception of the United States, it generally means over time, a few cycles is what we call them, but over a few years when budgets kind of kick in, the national governing bodies, by and large, get a lot more money because they get officially recognized and funded by their governments. Now, that's not a US thing. That's everything else, everywhere else. But that's like metric and imperial. If the US is imperial, everything else is metric. It's kind of like that.
We like to do our own thing over here.
Yeah. The US is pretty. US is big. I mean, the US has other things that are really good for sport. So there's just another way to slice the cake.
I want to talk more about the integration because I have tons of questions and just exactly what it means for both sides of the sport. But I did want to talk about kind of the evolution of pentathlon. Again, I'm not a pentathlon expert, but since the kind of integration of obstacle into pentathlon, people reach out to us and there's a lot of horse fans that don't necessarily, I'm probably using incorrect terminology, but that aren't super excited about obstacle. What do you say to those guys that love the horse part of pentathlon and maybe they're not big fans of obstacle yet?
Ironically, I completely empathize. My wife was an equestrian. She was on a scholarship for Western, but still equestrian, when she went to Cal Poly. And we still own a horse ranch. So it's kind of weird when I was in Paris at the last Olympic event with horse riding, jumping in pentathlon. It was actually sad. I ride. I've been doing competition endurance riding for 40 years, so I understand. And it was a little tough. That change it's a big change. This has happened before. There have been big changes in pentathlon over the decades that are not comfortable when you're used to doing one thing and then it changes to another thing. This is the constant of change that happens to all of us everywhere. In pentathlon, they tend to do it quite quickly and pretty dramatically. So changing the equestrian out for an obstacle event was very tough for the tradition, those especially that came out of equestrian, which for some countries is most of them. Britain, largely based on the pony club system. I think Australia as well was another one where it was pretty tough. But it takes about a cycle, so a year or so, and then it gets better really fast. What's happened in pentathlon with the introduction of the obstacle event as the new fifth discipline is what we call it, the numbers at every major competition since then have doubled every year, doubled. Now that's, if you increase 100% in size and reach, everything doubles, by the way, the number of competitors, the number of members, the viewership, it doubles and it keeps doubling. And that reassures all of us that this was a good move because the whole point of sport is to represent more people and make better humans through sport. And it's not going to happen if you get less people. It always happens when you get more.
The impression I got, and again, this is kind of outside of pentathlon looking in, again, as the transition happened, was that, especially as regards to the Olympics, was that if it doesn't evolve, it's going to go away as far as the Olympics goes. So we, in obstacle course race, we're very excited to be a part of the Olympics in LA in a couple of years. But I can imagine like losing the entire sport is not exciting for anybody. Yeah,
that would of course have been the absolute worst outcome would be no sport at all. Modern pentathlon is an interesting sport because until now, it has only existed because of being in the games, in the Olympics, is what we call it, in the games. Without it, prior to introducing obstacle, it would functionally cease to exist if we had not changed the fifth discipline. That was a mandate from the International Olympic Committee. That was not modern pentathlon's choice. That was a mandate. The actual words from Thomas Bach, the president at the time, was change or be changed. And despite what the news has said, pentathlon was never out of the Olympic Games. Pentathlon was, I think this is accurate for all sports. You're not out, but you're not in. You just got to prove that you remain in the Games is actually how it works. Kirsty Coventry, the new current IOC president, International Olympic Committee for everyone, IOC, said this to all international governing bodies, all international federations, in one of her recent speeches is everyone has to prove they need to stay in the Games. There are no exceptions. So for those who say, oh, pentathlon's on the ropes, they need to do this and that, it's actually not true. And pentathlon, unlike most other sports, has managed to weather these ups and downs and stay in the Games and continue to do so. We're extremely confident with, I'd say I am, with the introduction of obstacle, and I believe this is largely agreed within the communities, with the inclusion of obstacle sports, plural, within the umbrella of World Pentathlon, the international governing body. We increase the ability to have other medal events in Games. We call them Games, like the Winter Games where you were in Cortina. Winter Games, the Summer Games, the European Games, the Pan Am Games. These are all games in the Olympic system. There are many, by the way. The number of events in Games continues to increase rapidly. So what we're seeing now is Southeast Asia Games, Asia Games, on and on and on. Youth Games, University Games, Masters Games, all obstacle. They're all talking about it. They're like, this is great. We want it.
Let's talk about that integration we mentioned. In March, there was a vote. World Obstacle approved the dissolution and merged into UIPM. Can you break that down? What does that mean?
Yes. So we've had this. First of all, it was a discussion about maybe we should join together to make all of us better. Like bigger is better, more is better, bigger is better. Together is stronger. Let's not divide everything. Let's bring it together. That was the initial discussion. That turned into a memorandum of understanding, which became an agreement, which was we intend to merge everything together. The only way to do that with an Olympic sport and a non-Olympic sport is the Olympic sport must remain because it is recognized by the International Olympic Committee. That means that World Pentathlon had to remain, which is great because they are Olympic and necessary. The vote was for the members of World Obstacle to agree that to continue and complete the integration into World Pentathlon, we have to dissolve the organization. This does not dissolve the sports, does not take away the sports, does not. We add all those sports currently under World Obstacle into the umbrella, the governance umbrella of World Pentathlon. People get very confused because they tend to see events, which makes complete sense. That's what we do, right? We do events. They see this, there's a bit of confusion about what's an event and what's governance. So the idea and the practice that we're doing now is the events don't change, not in a functional way, like when you go to an event, it's still the same thing. We change a few things though. It's the way they run, the funding, some of those things they change. But basically, you'll see in Beijing this year and increasingly next year for the Obstacle World Championships, we will no longer have the OCR World Championships that will be in Limerick this year. That's the last one. Everything then switches into the new system where we put everything together in the Obstacle World Champs, and that's inclusive of a ninja event. So in 27, we see a bigger event. Standard stuff we're used to, 100 meters, 3K, 12K or whatever, standard course, short course, 100 meters, 400 meters, which we're starting to see a lot more of, and a ninja competition. And then team events, just like we do. So it'll just get bigger and better with more athletes, more exciting, more Olympic. The events if you saw anything of the Obstacle World Champs last year in Beijing, it's very Olympic. It's when people go, there were tons of athletes came, especially the elites came to Beijing from OCR. They were quite impressed from what I understand. You can talk to them yourself. They'll give you the real deal. But it's nice. It's broadcast is fantastic. The venues are terrific. The branding is amazing. this, we call it sport presentation. Like it looks and feels like an Olympic Games. And that's the way it should be. Obstacles should be that way.
Let me repeat back something you just said, because out of context, it sounds kind of scary. 2026 OCR World Championships are the last World Championships in that format. 2027. Okay, audio, so you're shaking your head. Tell me what I said wrong.
This is good. This is good you brought it up. The formats don't change.
Okay.
What we're doing is we're bringing those formats and events into Beijing. So the ones you see in Limerick this year, in next year, you'll see those in Beijing. This is the job now. I'll introduce the Obstacle Commission. The Obstacle Commission, which you mentioned in the introduction, are the most educated, knowledgeable, experienced, competent people in obstacle OCR today and Ninja. Have now become part of or make up the Obstacle Commission for World Pentathlon. So it's Stefano Zappa, President of Europe. It's James Burton, who is many people know from Britain, works in both pentathlon and obstacle, and has done a couple of hundred obstacle course races since since whenever, early days. We've got Jen Miller, she runs one of the international leagues for Ninja. And Precious K out of the Philippines. She's the Secretary General for the Philippine organization. Most people know the Philippine organization. They're incredible. They do amazing things. So she is the Secretary General. That's the CEO, basically. And she's also a gold medalist for obstacle in the SEA Games in obstacle, and also a gold medalist at the OCR World Champs. So she's an incredible athlete. And she came from athletics. So she has actual Olympic sport education, knowledge, and experience, plus a very high level at OCR. So between us, we have a really competent obstacle commission, and it's a UIPM obstacle commission. It's really important for people to understand. It is some of the most influential people and their colleagues within the obstacle movement over the past 10 years. In the nuts and bolts of it, actually running stuff, European champs, all that stuff.
So then the difference between 2026 and 2027, is it mainly the name at the top of the masthead, or you mentioned different events, additional events, more short course stuff?
Well, look, think of the Obstacle World Champs next year as everything you have in the OCR World Champs this year, plus a slightly different formatted 400. We've been doing a lot of 400s. They started in the SEA Games, a little bit before the SEA Games in 2019. The one in the European version is a little more technical. The America's version is a little more speed. The one in Beijing, we think will go a little more speed. We're not certain yet how we'll format it. Speed plays well in broadcast. Very, very attractive for general viewers, not OCR viewers. So if you take yourself away from being an obstacle athlete and you just have you show something on the street to anyone, they like the speed stuff. That's why we did the 100. It's because it's really easy to watch and really fun. So we'll have 100, 400, short course, standard course. This is next year in Beijing, and probably a ninja speed competition. So Ninja versus Ninja, like the TV show. So that'll be basically the OCR World Champs this year, plugged in with the formats, the rules, all that stuff. So no one loses anything. We just add more stuff.
Something you said is very true. It's that speed plays on TV. Because if I'm trying to convince my uncle to sit on the couch and watch an obstacle course race with me, he's not real interested in watching teamwork and camaraderie. We want to watch a race. We're used to, the Olympics is not, yes, there is absolutely camaraderie, but it's who's the fastest. When we watch football or American football, or if we watch baseball, American baseball, we want to see competition. So even though most of us in the obstacle racing, we grew up in 5 miles, 24 hours, speed plays. That is a true statement.
Yeah, it's important to also for everyone to understand we're not losing anything. Nothing's being changed. We're not taking away a 24-hour event or a 50K or an ultra, and we're not taking any of that away. The goal is working to aggregate the big commercial events into the system. So when you see Tough Viking and Spartan Race and Toughest and Strong Viking and all the US races, the goal is to be, we are a neutral ground. There's no financial incentive for anyone in sport to do anything in particular except represent the athletes. So in being inclusive of all the brands, is always what we're supposed to do. The door is always open, basically. Like, any brand that wants to play in this big pool, great, we'd love to have you. Spartan, of course, have always been part of the mix because they early on got involved, which now includes Tough Mudder. And as you saw last year in Sweden, Tough Viking. In Europe, Tough Strong Viking also puts on events for many of our organizations, many of the national governing bodies. In the US, a little bit different. It's a different setup, but we are confident that we can bring a lot more together. Always stronger together, rising tide.
Let's talk what that integration means for the Olympics. I told you before we started talking, I went to the Winter Olympics this year. I love me some good curling, and I'm excited about Los Angeles in 2028. What does that integration mean for the Olympics and then even beyond 2028, 2032 in Brisbane? What's that look like?
That's a great question. Olympic cycles for events tend to be 8 to 12 years, 3 Olympic cycles. So positioning events, all international federations do this. They want more medal events. The trick is to have more medal events without increasing the numbers of athletes in a way that exceeds the maximum. It's supposedly a cost containment thing. It actually makes sense. The World Masters Games is 30,000 people. An Olympics of that size would be staggeringly unmanageable when you think about how expensive they are. So what the international federations do is they seek out the most attractive events that satisfy the criteria to be on the Games program. It's a lot of words basically saying being in the Olympics. We're really fortunate. The OCR 100 and the Ninja Speed events are extremely attractive to broadcast, which is a big deal for Olympic stuff. So what it means for 28 is those events were decided years ago, and Pentathlon had a grace period because of finding a new fifth discipline, finding the obstacle to replace horses. The event in Los Angeles is still pentathlon with the obstacle discipline. So that's the first step. Brisbane 32, all the international federations, modern pentathlon included, is strategizing and positioning to have more. Now, if I were king and if I could if I could predict what we really wanted, I would say, because I've got nothing to do, well, I have a bit to do with this, I have a lot to do with it, but what I can't do is make any decisions. But what I'd like to see, and I think this is representative of the obstacle communities in general, is it would be amazing to see what we call them stand-alone medal events for obstacle in Brisbane. Now, that's not only is it not impossible, it's not my place to say, and I can't actually say what will be in Brisbane, but the door is open and we have very attractive events. How about that? That's about all I can say. That's as much as I can say. Now, that's what I can say officially. On a personal level, would I love to see like a 100-meter event, speed event in Brisbane 32? Absolutely. Do you think the viewers would? I absolutely believe that to be true. We have put on events in the area for the Games for 32. We did it last year with 100 meters on the beach, and it was fantastic. I met with the city. And this is about this event, not about the Olympics. I'd met the city. I met with the Gold Coast. I met with these people. They came to the event. They loved it. They thought this was a great fit for their region. Now, that all adds up to lots of stuff, right? This is not about the Games. This is about the Gold Coast loves this. 100 meters on the beach, fantastic. Beautiful sand in the ocean and clear water. And I mean, it's fantastic. It just is. It's like beach volleyball. It's beautiful. So having these pieces come together increase the probability that something would be approved moving forward.
Quick sidebar. You don't have to answer this. Like you can dodge the question if you want, which is totally fine. Do you think it would be better for obstacle? There's kind of two different not race formats, but track and field and swimming are like the exact same at every single games, so that you can have world championships, right? You can compare a 2028 swimming race to a 1976 swimming race in theory, right? But then there's stuff like downhill skiing where there's no real world record because the courses are different every time, right? Do you think for obstacle it'd be better to have a standardized course where it's exactly the same every games? Or is it better to have that kind of where it's the best for this games, but you can't really compare. You know what I'm talking about? Like games to games.
I do. I
don't know if you have a thought on that, or maybe it's not your.
I do.
Maybe in your position you shouldn't answer that, which is fine too. But
I absolutely have a thought on that, and it is a discussion. Both. In fact, athletics, aquatics, and cycling have both. In cycling, track, they have actual world records. In road, they do not. In athletics, the marathon does not. They have an Olympic marathon, no record. I mean, maybe they do, but they tend to say a game's best or something. Same with aquatics. There's open water swimming. That does not have a record either. And that's also aquatics. And neither does. So in aquatics, is a good discussion to have about how a sport works. Aquatics has artistic swimming, no records. Pool swimming, records. Open water swimming, no records. Diving, maybe records. They have points, but maybe records. So, and the same with athletics. There's things in there that have records and some that don't. Same with cycling. Some do, some don't. And it's good to have both. It's more interesting for many people not to have the same thing every time, but it's also very interesting to have records. So hence, both is good.
That's the thing in running. People like to compare their 5K times. Oh, I'm getting faster. You know, my time last year at this exact same race was this. But with, for example, a Spartan race or most obstacle course races, you can't really do that because the obstacles are going to be different. You might be on the same mountain, but you're going to take a different route around the mountain. It's a different course every year, which is part of what makes it fun and why people come back. But if you're trying to compare yourself year to year, it's a lot. It's kind of maybe.
That's true. I agree. I'd say overwhelmingly, as participants, we don't like the same thing. We want to do something different. I'd say, I don't know what the number is. I'd say 90% would be, let's do something different every time, make it fresh, make it unusual, make it dynamic, make it unexpected. That's the soul of the sport, right? Or one of the pieces of the sport that is necessary. We want to keep doing that. That's not going to change. We want to keep being innovative, keep changing it up. Beijing right now, this year in Beijing, don't know what the 100 is going to look like, honestly. Might be a standard course, but probably not. There's probably going to be an arrangement of whatever's available and be super interesting because anyone who gets there, like last year, you get to the course and you see and you go, that's interesting. Got 2 sets of that and one of those and it's arranged in an interesting way. That's really fun because you get to do something novel and fun and exciting and you can't really predict how it's going to turn out.
At this point where we are right now in the sport, you mentioned Beijing. If UIPM has a sanctioned race, are you guys telling them to set it up like this is what the course will look like? Or do you guys show up and say like, that's safe, that's the right distance, that's enough obstacles? What does that process look like?
So commissions within the UIPM governance framework are to provide the knowledge, experience, education to advise the executive board to approve things. So the obstacle commission does that. It's exactly what you described. We, between us, we've probably got at least 50 years of experience in obstacle collectively. We know, we've seen things, right? We know where things can be dangerous, where they look really great on TV, where the athletes hate it. Like we know this stuff because and we all compete, all of us. We all love to do the competitions. We just love it so much that we all came from the athletic side. So we're buried eyeballs deep in this. Within our group, we are discussing these exact things. Is this a good format? Should we do this? Should we do that? And then we take advice to the UIPM executive board. This is in the bylaws, basically how the thing works. It's a good system. The executive board, we call it the EB, largely they go, sounds great. Sometimes they'll go, hey, but what's this for and why do you do that? And it's a great process. It's not democratic. It should not be. It's advice from commissions. The commissions are the knowledge base for that. For us, we are the obstacle knowledge base. So we do all of the obstacle stuff and we make the recommendations. And by and large, the executive board says, sure, it sounds great. Sometimes they ask really good questions because we're too embedded in it. They'll ask obvious questions for Olympic sport. It's like, why do you do that? That seems weird. And we'll go, oh, yeah, good question. Why do we do that?
I want to jump back to something I've been thinking about. You said a minute ago about getting more medal events from one discipline or from one sport. In the U.S. here, we love Michael Phelps and Katie Ledecky. And one of the reasons we love them is they've won so many medals. Every time they race, this many Olympic medals. And if you look at it, it's like, yeah, he ran, like a lot of those are for doing the exact same thing, just multiple times. And one thing I think every sport loves or needs is superstars. And Swimming's going to be in the Olympics till you and I are both long gone. But having those two athletes, Michael Phelps and Katie Ledecky, win so many medals or be able to win so many medals has created them as they are superstars in swimming. And if OCR or obstacle can have 100 meter, 400 meter, half mile, like if you have multiple medal distances, which it sounds like what is part of the division, then it can help us in obstacle, in pentathlon, create those superstars like Michael Phelps or Katie Ledecky.
It can, it does, and that's absolutely correct. It happens is a lot wider than that. If you're a US viewer and you're US centric, there may be a slightly a similar example. I'm not going to say better example. The Dream Team. The Dream Team happened because Michael Jordan was fed up with the US not sending the best team to win basketball at the Olympics. He's like, this is nonsense. We cannot have the best basketball players in the world not winning the Olympics. This is nonsense. So he basically got them together and said, guys, we can't fail. What on earth is happening if the US can't win gold in basketball? It just makes no sense. Let's make this a thing. Ever since Dream Team, right? So good luck anyone beating the US. But that's also, that to your point, that's great. Every country now wants to beat the US, and it's a legacy. It's a very good thing for sport. Sport loves this. You see it in everything. Formula One, you see dynasties in tennis and football and everything. It's great for sport. It's good to have a very high bar. We do have that in obstacle in one of the sports, which is Ninja Warrior today. In Ninja Warrior, when a US athlete shows up, a good one, top 20 in the US, shows up to any event anywhere else, good luck beating them. They are so much better. It's that kind of thing. And I see this at the ninja competitions. The other athletes in the world, they know. There's no mystery around it. It's like the American Ninja Warrior athletes are unbelievable. Are just so much better than everyone else because it's been so long and so highly developed and now generational. So it's going to take a while for people to catch up. But it's good because the athletes from the other countries are watching them and learning and studying, and everyone's happy and friendly. They all help each other. So this is good for sport. And you see it in Europe. In OCR, the Dutch are so good at OCR. They are so good at it. They've now developed a dynasty of this incredible dominance in some of the distances in OCR. So good luck another country beating these guys because they're commonly getting gold, silver, and bronze on the elite podium. It's staggeringly good. And that's great for sport. So we will see this. We will see it. And then going, as you asked earlier about more events in the games, yes, I mean, this is always the goal. And I, as the optimist, think that we have a really good shot at it.
A lot of people, not a lot, some people in the obstacle community over here in the US are like, well, I'm not going to learn how to fence. So I don't really like, it's pentathlon and obstacle is a part of it, but I'm not a good swimmer. So what am I going to, but in my mind, if pentathlon is the foot in the door for the obstacle, because I'm coming from an obstacle racing point of view. Of the 5 disciplines, obstacle racing to me is the most TV friendly. It's the most exciting. It's the one I want to watch. Then get a foot in the door, and then IOC sees the viewership numbers and like, man, we need more obstacle racing, Ian. What are we going to do? And then Brisbane and beyond is what I'm hoping for.
Well, that's accurate. And there's a misperception that you have to do pentathlon to do obstacle in the games. That's not true. There are many games with obstacle standalone events. We started this in 2019. 6 obstacle events in the SEA Games, Southeast Asia Games in 2019. It's already happening, and it's rapidly accelerating. So, yeah, Olympic aspirations today, if you do obstacle and you want a shot at LA 28, which is kind of getting late now because good luck getting on a team. It's still possible, but you would have to do all the other stuff. That's just because for 28, which was for most sports was decided 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 years ago, that's already happened. Brisbane 32, whole different story. Brisbane 32, I encourage all obstacle athletes to keep doing what they're doing because we would love to have standalone medal events for obstacle disciplines, whatever that looks like, whatever we can get. And for sure, every sport is maneuvering to do the same thing with their events, but that's the game. And as we've already discussed a few times now, the attraction of the obstacle disciplines is high. So that's hence my optimism.
Okay, second time you mentioned you're an optimist. Let me give you a pessimist question, okay? Obstacle is very integrated with pentathlon right now. I don't know if you remember, there was some controversy about breakdancing in the most recent Olympic Games. Is there any chance, or what is that in pentathlon is in LA and the numbers aren't great, and IOC says, you know what, obstacle experiment was not great, pentathlon, you're gone. Is there any chance of pentathlon tanking obstacles chance for future games?
It's a possibility for any sport. Breakdancing was an unusual case. Uncommon and unusual. A better analogies would be surfing and climbing. Climbing actually is quite close. So climbing has proven to be quite popular. Pentathlon actually is quite popular. They have good numbers. A lot of people watch pentathlon. It's a lot to do with what you see in a small moment these days, like thumb scrolling stuff. If you see a little piece of something and you like it, you're probably going to watch for a while. Pentathlon does quite well. Their numbers are good. They're healthy. And with obstacle, they're way more healthy. So it just gets better and better. That's part of the optimism is that pentathlon is quite good, does quite well in the games. For viewership, with obstacle, does really well. Generally now with the broadcasts and the metadata and all the stuff around what people are looking at. And that's no mystery. We watch, that's a lot to do with the Ninja Warrior side because some of those athletes by themselves, the biggest numbers I've seen were maybe Enzo Electric. He did a run in the European champs. We allow the US athletes to compete in anything really. They can't win a medal in the European champs. But last year, I think one of his runs, he got 26 million views. That's good for obstacle. OCR is sort of unheard of, but in Ninja, that's good. He was disappointed. He's had 80 million views. So this is a different kind of context for what good numbers look like in viewership. That's what we're looking at. We're looking at views of runs with tens of millions of views, not a few thousand watching an obstacle race, tens of millions.
That's another great point is that with the short course stuff, it plays to the algorithms. Like if you can watch an entire race in 45 seconds or a minute, then people will watch that and it's exciting.
Well, 100, you can watch an entire race in 24 seconds. It's even better because people want 30 seconds. Right? This was part of the design. I was working on this since 2018, I was scratching my head on, it was data. It was all based on data and what athletes would probably like to do. Probably. It was all guesswork. No, that's not true. It was based on information, but I had this idea that if we could create an event that was under a minute, ideally 30 seconds, it was good enough that people would like to do it, the obstacle athletes would actually do it, we could get onto something useful. And we tried it in the Philippines. So, Philippines organization has always been a leader in this. They're always game. They built a bunch of courses for this, tons of them, until we figured out, we narrowed it down to what we have today pretty much. And by the Southeast Asia Games in 2019, we had it pretty well nailed. And it proved to be really popular. The viewership in the games in the Southeast Asia Games were very, very good. That gave us confidence that we were onto it. Then we started building it out, and now, of course, you see it everywhere. Most countries have it. It's in the European Championships, the World Championships. It's basically the adopted version or the format that's pretty much the pentathlon obstacle disciplines, very, very close. Then I put it into Ninja, introduced it into the Ninja World Cup system. Basically the same thing, but got ninja stuff, right? Really big. It's also very close to Ninja Warrior TV shows. There's several that predate this. The Ninja versus Ninja TV show in the Americas. It's only in the US, by the way. Well, I think it is. Might be other countries. Ninja versus Ninja, Team Ninja Warrior, and the collegiate championship stuff. So there's actually 3 TV shows that do well. Oh, American Ninja Warrior Junior. It's the same format. American Ninja Warrior Junior. The juniors are relatively young, but now what you see is the athletes in their mid-teens are winning. Elite, maybe a little young for my taste, but so we see when it's generational what happens when the kids, they only know Ninja. They weren't even born when it started in 97.
They've grown up watching it, which is Obviously, that's
exactly.
ideal for the sport.
Exactly. Their parents, some of them whose parents were elites, are now just parents. And the kids now are winning stuff. So that's why it's hard to catch up to a country that has a whole generation of athletes that this is their sport.
I like it when the top athletes get married and then they have like a super baby. That's like, you gotta wait like 15, 20 years and then that kid is going to crush it.
Oh, it's amazing. I just love this sport so much. I see what everyone's doing in all the disciplines. Like the Stein from the Netherlands, last year in Beijing, did the 3K with 20 obstacles, 11 minutes flat. Like, that's fast. 11 minutes flat. Not technical obstacles, but technical. I mean, they're real obstacles. You know, there's all the stuff you'd normally expect. And I'm watching this going, not many people can run that fast without the obstacles. Yeah, it's crazy.
Amazing. They're amazing. Ian, what else should we tell people before we wrap up?
We have the Olympic era is so exciting for obstacle sports. The opportunities are vast. Very few sports have this opportunity. We were really fortunate that our members, the national governing bodies that represent everyone, understood what we were doing. Took some work. I mean, it takes some explaining. It's complicated, but we have achieved something extraordinary. And now the opportunities, and actually the hard work starts now, but the opportunities are everything. Imagine what would be the best thing you can possibly do for what you do in obstacle sports. That's what we're aiming for. Whatever it is you want, we're trying for that. We're aiming for the moon. Like, it's a moonshot, but we got the first one, so we're going to keep going. Yeah, European champs coming up in a few days. They're going to be great. There's a few more that have already been awarded. So the Euro champs, now moving into the UIPM governance umbrella, they've been awarded through 2028. Now they go into agreements, which I think they've all been signed or very close to signing with UIPM, since we're now all UIPM. They just keep going as they have. People go, oh, but won't it change? So, nope, still European champs, still exactly what you'll see this weekend. You'll see it in Estonia next year. You'll see it. I mean, it just goes on and on, right? So it's a transition period. We're transitioning everything together, and the opportunity is making everything better. Like, it's been good, and we're going to make it much better.
How do you guys decide where to place the European Championships? Is there like a rotation or is it a bidding process? How do they do that? Bidding process.
Yeah, bidding process. It's always a bidding process. It's we're also working on that. That's there's two systems. We're bringing them all into one system. Also makes it better. Being Olympic has, as I said, has many advantages, because for the hosts, it's like the Olympic Games. It's host city typically. For us, it's been the host national governing body. I'll give you an example. World Champs 25 and 24. It was the national governing body working with an event production company, or more than one. So last year is a good example. Gothenburg. The event was run by Tough Viking, very big event producer in the region, the biggest by far. They can put through 18,000 people in one of their events, so capacity was not a problem. They have full-time staff. They have everything you need to put on a really, really professional event, a very good event. So the producers were Swedish Athletics, our member in Sweden, also huge, by the way, Swedish Athletics with Tough Viking, huge event producer, very professional, very well run. That's what you're going to see more of as we move forward. And then, of course, in Ireland this year, in Limerick, can't forget that, same thing. Professional event producer. They produce Olympic stuff with Ireland, and it's going to be great. So don't forget about that. August this year, come to Ireland, the last standalone before we all merge everything together.
Any last thoughts before we wrap up?
I'm excited. This is great.
For more information on World Obstacle, go to worldobstacle.org. Ian Adamson, thanks much.
Thank you, Will.
Special thanks to Ian Adamson for appearing in this episode. Well done, Ian. Come back anytime. Don't forget the OCRreport.com/WTM. Everything you need for World's Toughest Mudder. Special shout out to Jason Dupree of the OCR Tech Talk podcast. Doing a lot of legwork behind the scenes on the website, as well as our race production for World's Toughest Mudder. Check out his podcast, OCR Tech Talk. Find links to it at the OCR Report website or in your favorite podcast player. Will we see you at World Toughest Mudder? Will we see you at any of the championships you was talking about today? Shoot me an email, will@theocrreport.com. Join the Patreon. $5 a month to support the sport you love. I will talk with you soon. Go spend time with someone you love.
We have the tech to get food delivered in 15 minutes, but we all have horror stories about buying tickets. The Game Time app gives fans the advantage. Get amazing tickets in just a few taps. Fees are included, so what you see is what you pay. And the Game Time guarantee means authentic tickets at the best price every time. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets to concerts, sports, comedy, and more with Game Time. Download the Game Time app and create an account for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply.